Hi everyone, it's Meredith with Soul Navigation, and in celebration of December, I decided to start doing my videos now based on the rising sign. We talked a lot about the sun signs, but not very many people know about the rising sign. And your rising sign is based on the time and the place you were born. You really can't know it unless you know the time and the place that you were born. And a lot of people, of course, know the place, but they don't know the time. It's basically where it's the point that was on the eastern horizon at the moment of your birth. And this is called the ascendant or the rising sign. It means the same exact thing. So today we're going to talk about what is Sagittarius rising and how is Sagittarius rising different than being a Sagittarius. And since we have this great Sagittarius energy going on in the world today, I thought I would start with Sag. And then next month I'll do Capricorn and we'll go through the whole entire zodiac. I did the sun signs and I invite you to either watch them on my YouTube station, Soul Navigation, and subscribe if you want to get these monthly, or be my friend on my Soul Navigation page, or just go to my website at soulnavigation.com. But today I want to talk to you about Sagittarius rising. And it's really interesting because if you are a Sag rising, even if you're a Scorpio sun sign, your approach to life is going to be through a Sagittarius filter. The way you look, the way you ask people to see you, the way you express yourself, the way you talk, the way you package yourself is going to be in a Sagittarius flavor. The things that you are attracted to even. So physically, now a lot of times people ask me to guess what their sun sign is. And I oftentimes guess their rising sign or their ascendant. And the reason why is because this is what we show the world. So we show the world our rising sign. And like I've met people who are Geminis that are Scorpio rising. Hi, oh, this is great. You're gonna love this video for Izzy. So listen up because you'll love it. It's really, really, really fascinating. So like I've met a Gemini before that has Scorpio rising, and they act nothing like a Gemini until I get to know them because the mask that they wear is Scorpio. So today we're talking about Sag rising. So I want you to think of something. I'm going to give you a visual, okay? The visual is this. If I gave you an orange and the orange was wrapped up in tinfoil and I handed it to you and I said, what is this? What do you think this is? You'd say this is a tinfoil ball, right? So it's not, because when you peel it, you find an orange inside of it. So I'm talking about the tinfoil. I'm not talking about the orange, and it's really complicated, but this is why I don't believe in sun sign astrology, because you are not just a Scorpio. You are not just a Gemini. You are the amalgamation of your entire chart, and your rising sign is absolutely critical to understanding who you are in the world, because it's how you present yourself. It's how you show up in the world. It's how I ask you to see me. And so let's talk about this. One is a piece of this you can't even help because it's literally physically what you look like. And so you're going to dress like your rising sign, more likely. I got to tell you one little thing though. Sometimes when you are a Sagittarius sun sign and you have a Sagittarius rising sign, it is just basically you are what you see. Your inside and your outside are the exact same. So it's just somebody who doesn't wear a mask. And it's somebody who doesn't wear a persona. Now, a persona isn't a bad thing. It's like if you went to a job interview, you would wear an appropriate outfit for that job interview, right? Well, that's what this is like. This is like you have been born into this lifetime, and so your presentation of this lifetime is almost equally as important as the soul's code or the soul's experience of it. So this is really about your presentation in life, how you walk into the world, how you show up at the gas station and you ask the world to see you or interact with you. And you don't even know you're doing it. But on a physical level, a Sagittarius oftentimes can look like a beautiful athletic, horse-like creature. They usually are have long limbs and long arms and have really an aesthetic sense of like athleticism. They usually look or are pretty athletic, and they're always on the move. They have a big expression, and they have an optimistic sense of self. So their clothing or their persona is usually going to be riddled in happiness and optimism and have big expressions. Physically, they can look like two things: long and lanky, like a solid thoroughbred horse, or round and jolly, like Santa Claus. And I know that's funny, and they're opposites, but some Sagittarius risings really do have that Santa Claus look, because Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sag. And if you're Sag rising, Jupiter is your planet. I know that sounds funny, because let's say you're a Cancer and you think the moon is such a big deal in your chart. And by the way, it is a big deal in your chart. But you're Sag rising and you're a Cancer, Jupiter is the generator for the fuel that makes your whole chart go. I know that sounds crazy, right? But I want you to think about this just for a minute. If I'm a Sagittarius rising, which I'm not, by the way, but if I am a Sagittarius rising, Jupiter is my ruling planet, and I have to go look in the chart and see what is Jupiter doing to understand how the energetic fuel from Jupiter is coming into my persona and making me present myself to you. And if that Jupiter is in a really happy place in its chart, you get a really happy persona. If that Jupiter is in an angry aspect, or if it's in sort of a more shy sign, it's going to be muted. So not everybody is this gregarious, optimistic champion in the world that has this effervescent, bubbly persona that's a Sag rising, because they might have their Jupiter in a shy placement. Scorpio in the 4th with Pluto next to Jupiter. That's going to be a much more intense and quiet, reserved Sag rising. So you got to look at everything. But I'm going to give you some characteristics that are going to make you be able to detect a Sag rising pretty quickly. So they're fire, so they're going to be really passionate. And they are mutable, so they're going to be moving a lot. These are not sedentary, lazy people. You will probably not find a Sag rising wasting their life on a couch watching TV. You just won't. They are going to actually be, whatever show they're addicted to, Breaking Bad, House of Cards, you're going to actually find them doing that very thing in life. You know, but not usually spectators. They're usually the active participants. They're the one climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. They're not usually spectators. If they are spectators, they have a fever for watching the thing that they're watching. So they're mutable, movable, changeable. They're super passionate, and they're fire. So think of a burning forest fire. That's not hard to think about, because we just suffered from that in California. That's Sag rising, super passionate. They are in search of higher consciousness, truth, and wisdom. And they are in search of their own personal holy grail, and that's usually what their life is about. So that's a Sagittarius as well. But when it is the persona, you're going to see this search, this quester, this adventure seeker, this thrill seeker. You're going to see this at hello. You're going to see this right away. They are in search of optimistic philosophical truths that exist globally and worldwide. These people want to transcend time in a way. They see the world as across all time, across all cultures, across all religions, and across all space. And they are visionaries. They're really big. If they arrive to your home or your party, they usually are not wearing a watch. If they do, they probably need to change the battery. And they're probably going to be late, because these people have a big, big mission in life. They have a big, giant, enormous mission in life, and they feel it burning a hole in their soul. I'm not kidding. They need to be in constant movement, conquering life, if you will. They want to dominate life. They want to understand truths and philosophical and even psychological, even biological truths. and they want to experience them. Yes, they will read about them, but truthfully, they want to experience them. They don't want to just read about Mecca. They want to go to Mecca. They don't want to just read about, I don't know, the Great Wall of China. They want to walk the Great Wall of China. They're not happy being, like I said, the spectator. So they're going to reveal to you their wisdom at hello. They're either going to wear it on a necklace or a bracelet or a hat or a piece of their clothing, or they will speak it. Even the way they show up will have a wisdom in it. And their personality is going to reveal joy and optimism, adventure, wisdom, and truth, all at bang. They're not hard to figure out. They are usually pretty transparent. So if you meet a Scorpio rising or a Cancer rising, you're not going to know exactly who you're dealing with immediately. You need a whole evening, maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe a lifetime. If you have a Scorpio rising, it may take you a whole lifetime to figure out who the hell are you. But a Sag rising, you are going to know who they are and what they're about in about 3 seconds. They are transparent. And so their persona is, it's profound and powerful, but it's in your face, usually. I'm not saying there aren't shy Sag risings. They're hard to find, and they usually have their Jupiter placement in a quieter place, like the 12th house in Pisces, or in the 4th house in Cancer, or just in the 4th house. So sometimes even the 2nd house, it can mute them. But if you meet a Sag rising and they have Jupiter in the 9th house or Jupiter in the 5th house, these people bring the party to you. All you have to do is get dressed, and actually maybe you don't even have to do that. Forgive me. Forgive me. Okay. Hold on, I have to take a sip of coffee. I'm running out of energy. I haven't even started. Oh my God, I'm down to my last sip, my cup. Please give me one more sip of coffee. Oh my God. Okay. So they're interested in the wider world. They don't really like the details. They're often not really interested in the mundane details of your life. It's just bullshit to them. They want to know, what are your ideas? What are your passions? What's your next goal? What do you believe in? Who is God to you? What's your faith? And they usually like to try everything. Like, what makes a Sagittarius happy? Everything. Anything they haven't tried, any place they haven't been to, something new, a new adventure, something that takes guts, something that's going to bring excitement, a new food, a new wine, a new friend, a new person, a new place, a new music. It's like, wow, I've never done this before. This is exciting. They can do tradition, but they like breaking up the rut. They like breaking up the routine. It's like a forest fire, they like to blaze a new trail. And so this is their motto. They're going to reveal this to you. They are addicted to the possibilities in life. What is the possibility? And they oftentimes get disappointed in what is really just so. It's kind of boring. And so it's really important to know how Jupiter is acting in one's chart. Because if Jupiter is in an optimistic placement, these people honestly feel like they can do anything. And on these are outgoing, confident storytellers that can tell the most colorful story. You can take these people anywhere, anytime. They're ready to share their life story or their adventures with any eager listener. And they do like an audience, and so they do want a really good listener. They like to tell the story. They like to act out the story. They want to relive the story with you. And so one of the biggest gifts you can give a Sag rising is your undivided, awe-inspired attention. They love that. They thrive on that. It's like, just come over and listen to their stories. Now, your Sag rising person, I guarantee you, one of the favorite things they've done in their life is travel. And if they haven't traveled, oh my God, this is a sorry, sad soul. You buy them an airplane ticket, stat, to their favorite place now. The place they always dreamed of. It's the best gift you can give them. And if your Sag rising doesn't own a passport, my God, help them get a passport. It is the best gift you can ask, or you can give any Sag rising. So if they haven't had the worldly experience or traveling, I bet you they are vicariously living through another medium to do that. And it is something that you could help facilitate in their life, because it's a dead dream. It is a dream that has been starved. And so, however, I think most Sag risings you're going to meet have a filled passport, a passport filled with stamps. And ask them, where have they been? What is their favorite travel adventure? What did they learn the most on their travels? I would say a quintessential idea of Sag rising is the Australian traveler. That is the quintessential Sagittarius rising. And so they usually have optimism just oozing from their expression. And they are usually absolutely fascinating to be around, because they have the potent combination of truth and humor and a worldly wise philosophical wisdom. And they're funny as hell. And they can make anybody laugh. And they usually have a depth and a shallowness operating at the same time. The shallowness is, let's lighten up the party. And the depth is let's get really real. And these are kind of confusing. So if you are talking to somebody who's both of those things, like funny as hell, and I think they're kind of superficial and funny and lighthearted, and they take nothing too seriously, yet they're filled with this deep holy grail of wisdom, you're probably dealing with either a Sag or a Sag rising. And so they're exciting, and they're confident, and they believe in their own truth. So here's the deal. The Holy Grail is not a thing that really exists out there in the world, right? It is a collection of deep personal truths that have turned into higher consciousness and wisdom. And this is what their collective adventures lead them to. And so you have to remember, we're talking about Sagittarius rising. So this is the filter in which they see the world out of. This is like glasses. Sagittarius rising glasses. So this is, let's just pretend I am not a Sag, but I see the world through Sagittarius rising. I see the world through these lenses, and this has a desire for wisdom and truth and optimism and humor. And that's how a rising sign works. It is the tinfoil or the wrapping paper on the gift, but it is not the gift. Okay, so now that I have my Sagittarius rising glasses on, I'll just leave them on. So here's the deal. When Sag is too much of itself, Sagittarius rising is too much of itself, it's just flat out obnoxious. It's a straight talker. It's too brazen. It's too brash. It's too much in your face. It's arrogant. It's too stuck on its own truth. And it becomes kind of even bigoted in its own truth. Like it believes what it believes. This is my wisdom. This is the Holy Grail. And then it serves it up to you, dishes it up to you as if it's your truth too. And it's not your truth. And so standing up to a Sag rising takes some confidence, takes some guts. It takes a little bit of courage to sort of pop their balloon and say, there might be another truth. The cool thing about Sag rising is if they're really healthy, they will take on your truth. They will try it on. They will want to evaluate it. They'll want to discuss it. They will be non-judgmental. And that's a really fun and exciting and healthy Sagittarius rising. And so they are usually the teacher, but they can be the student. If you are fascinating, interesting, well-spoken, articulate, even a little bit mysterious, they will listen to you and they will love learning from you. Here's a secret about Sagittarius rising. They oftentimes believe, and sometimes are, the smartest person in the room. The most broadly educated, the most cultured, the most deeply understanding person in the room. And they like that, kind of. Truthfully, they don't really. Truthfully, they are craving the idea that somebody has had a better, bigger adventure than them. They are craving it secretly. This is the secret. Don't tell them. And if you have had a bigger, better, bolder adventure than them, don't whip it out too fast and big. Sneak it in, layer it into their conversation, and make their conversation and your conversation do this gorgeous dance. And they will be so hooked on you. They will be so addicted to you. They will want to learn everything you've got. And this is never how Sag Rising starts, but this is where you can lead them to go. They usually start with their own adventure and their own global understanding and their own truth serum and their own wisdom and their own philosophy and psychology. And if you have anything interesting to say, you can surely sprinkle it. But, you know, if they're healthy, they are going to, wow, open up their hearts to you. And so it's thrilling and exciting to meet somebody who's been to a more faraway land than me, you know, and to share those ideas. So that's one way that you can get a Sag hooked. Another way is you could have an array, or I guarantee you, Sages have tried almost anything and everything, and they like variety. They like exotic foods. They like exotic music. They like exotic people. They like exotic places. They like a hole in the wall, a jewel that's never been found. These people would love to go panning for gold, you know, and actually find it. And so Sag Risings are on a quest, and they are here to really seek and accrue adventure and wisdom and truth. So I want you to think about meeting the Dalai Lama and Indiana Jones. It's like that. You know, if you met the Dalai Lama, a hybrid of the Dalai Lama and Indiana Jones, and you sat down for dinner, surely they would have deep-seated truths and wisdom and adventures, and surely you would feel so blessed and entertained with all their stories. And that's kind of what it feels like being involved with a Sagittarius rising. And then you sort of feel a little bit inadequate. That's why I said it takes confidence. Like, what could you add to the Dalai Lama's repertoire? What could you talk to Indiana Jones about that he would find remotely interesting, right? That's why it takes a little guts, it takes a little confidence, takes a little swag, takes a little courage. And that's why when they meet somebody who can do that, oh my God, they will eat out of the palm of your hands. They will just fall madly in love with you. Whether you're a 5-year-old kid, they will fall in love with your spirit, or a grandmother, or it doesn't matter. They will fall in love with your spirit. So I'll tell you a couple other things. They are not boring. These people are not boring. Even if you find a quiet one, I guarantee you they're not boring. They steep themselves in these philosophical pursuits that are just bound up in wisdom, and they almost always want to find out what is the truth. They are so happy and passionate. And I think that they bounce back from setbacks and tragedies better than anybody on the planet, maybe even better than a Sagittarius sun sign, because they have this approach of this optimistic approach about everything's a lesson. There is wisdom in all things. And so they can oftentimes find the light in the darkest of dark. They can oftentimes find the funny in the tragedy. And they have this ability to always land on their feet. They have unbelievable hips and thighs, and so literally they can land on their feet, and metaphorically they can. So I want you to think about these Sagittariuses, these Sag risings, and remember, these are not Sagittariuses. So these, you might feel like you know these people's souls, not their personas, not their perspective or their outlook or the mask that they wear. But they are Sag rising signs. And so I want you to think about these people while I'm talking about them. But I want you to think of one other thing too. So put this in your thinking cap as well. This is kind of how I explain it. A lot of astrologers don't speak like this or talk like this or think like this, but this is my own analogy, and this is kind of how I feel about this. So your soul, let's say your soul is, an Aries. No, let's do something opposite. Let's say your soul's a Capricorn, okay? A very serious, hardworking Capricorn that doesn't count its chickens before they hatch and doesn't get too excited until the proof is in the pudding, if you will. And so you're a Capricorn, but you're Sag rising. So Capricorn soul tells Sag rising, go out there in the world and bring back to me that which I desire. And Sagittarius looks at Capricorn and goes, what? I can't even relate to you. I don't even know what you're asking. I don't want to do all that hard work. I don't want to learn those lessons. I don't want to do the mundane life. I don't want to count my money. I don't want to even do a 401k plan. I don't want to buy health insurance, life insurance. I don't want to do those things. And so we kind of have conflict because the persona, Sag rising, brings back to Capricorn things that Capricorn doesn't even know how to deal with. And they have to learn how to dance with one another. Now, if you're a Leo with a Sag rising, and Leo says to Sag rising, go out there in the world and attract to me that which soothes my soul or satisfies my soul. Sag says, I can do that. Leo's my brother. I get you, Leo. And Sag knows how to do Leo's dance. And so there's harmony. And Sag brings back to Leo maybe something that's a little bit more adventurous or deeper than Leo wants to go. But Leo is grateful and Leo appreciates it. And so that combination knows how to gel together and dance immediately from hello. Where if you're a Capricorn or if you're in a sign that is not necessarily compatible by element or nature to Sagittarius rising, your persona and that which you attract into your life and your soul are kind of in conflict and at odds, and they have to learn how to dance. It's sort of like learning how to square dance. You know, we don't know how to do that. We have to learn the steps. And so, and I do say square dance because the square is the unhappy aspect, if you will. It's the challenged aspect. And so it's very, very helpful to know if your persona is in harmony with your soul or if it's in conflict. And if it's in conflict, your life is probably going to grow out of challenges. So it doesn't mean bad. It just means the energy might not be innately as harmonious, and you might have to learn. It's like learning a new language. Okay, so my people, I want you to think about these people and think about their tragedies in their life. Think about their outlook in life. Think about what they look like. Think about their athleticism. Think about if they're willing or if they're able or if they're really capable of landing on their feet. Think about if they are... if they've had to pick themselves back up again, and if they bring happiness and joy, if they lead with that. So my first one is Brad Pitt. And I think that's interesting because I think he recovered. I'm sure it was very difficult and he felt like he hit rock bottom with his divorce, but to Angelina Jolie. But, he did that photo shoot for GQ or whatever, and it had melancholy in it, but he's a survivor. And even look at the movies that he's done, Troy, and then the one that took place in Asia. I can't remember what it was, 7 or something. There's such a Sagittarius element, isn't it? And I think he is actually a Sag. I think he's a Sag. He's on the Capricorn cusp. Maybe he's a Capricorn. Can't remember. He's in December. Elvis Presley. It was unfortunate that he couldn't totally bounce back, but when you look at his life and you look at his music, it says Sagittarius. Mother Teresa, finding the light in the darkness, questing for the Holy Grail. Culturally and philosophically, I think she found her Holy Grail. Princess Diana, that's really interesting, isn't it? She had so much internal suffering. Paris Hilton, that's interesting. Scarlett Johansson. Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Marlon Brando, Bridget Bardot, Bruce Lee, I can see it in Bruce Lee, Bob Marley, James Dean, Nelson Mandela. Wow, he found the light in the darkness, and he also is such a truth crusader, isn't he? Elton John, look at his music. Look at Elton John. That's so interesting because I do see such Sag rising in him. Oprah Winfrey. And we can look at Oprah, how confident she is about her own truths. God, isn't she confident? She's kind of brazen. She can be in your face. She can rub people the wrong way. Sometimes her ego gets the best of her. And I do kind of feel like the rising sign is like the ego. It is similar to the ego because it's what you lead with. It's how you say hello, and it is how you, it is what you bring back to your life to deal with. And Sag risings are oftentimes, like I said, colorful storytellers. They love to talk. Look at Oprah. Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan, Coco Chanel, Winona Ryder, Elizabeth Taylor, Maria Calais, Angela Merkel, Ronald Reagan. He was kind of funny. He had a wit and a wisdom about him. But he was a Gemini, and so he is, that's very interesting when your sun sign is opposite to your rising sign. So Geminis with a Sag rising are very fascinating, smart people. Big picture and then all the details. And Thomas Edison, John Wayne, Ellen DeGeneres, Shirley Temple, and Fred Astaire landing on his feet. You know, these people are fun to be around. They're infected with joy and enthusiasm, and they have this internal joy inside of them that's genuine. If they get lost to drugs or adventure or, never being satisfied, that's usually how their demise occurs. Like with Elvis Presley, probably always needing the next thing, because Sagittarius have enormous energy, so it's very hard to satiate their appetites, and they oftentimes cannot find somebody who brings more to the game than them. And so if you're Elvis Presley and you're sitting in a room, you're probably looking around going, gosh, who can do something for me that I can't do for myself? Nobody. Shirley Temple at age 5. Who can do something for me that I can't do for myself? Probably not very many people. Fred Astaire, who Gene Kelly is about it. Fred Astaire is probably only going to meet his dance match in Ginger Rogers or Gene Kelly. That's it. He's got 2 people. So I'm just saying that oftentimes when they're really developed, they are masters at this infectious, unbelievable, optimistic joy and wise game in life. And so they can get bored. Boredom is their nemesis. So if you're a parent and you're raising a Sagittarius rising child, God, make sure you're not boring. Make sure that you're always feeding them with the next big thought, the next big dream, the next big adventure. That's what they need. Don't let your Sagittarius rising child outgrow you too quickly. Stay in front as much as you can, teaching them wisdom, truth, philosophy, psychology, emotional IQ, and other cultures, other languages, exotic foods, exotic and incredible music. Don't just let them listen to pop music. Make them listen to African drums and beats from around the world. And so here's the thing. I'm going to talk about the demise, the sad part of Sag rising, when you're not healthy. The problem sometimes is that Sag rising has a tough time slowing down. And so they can end up half-assing their whole entire life because they can't wait for the next adventure, the next, I guess, crusade, if you will. And so they're in perpetual movement, and they find that if they sit down, they're going to miss out. They're going to miss out on their life, on the discovery of the next great thing. And the other thing is, and this is probably the biggest thing, is that they cover up their pain. They are like the happy sad clown. Like they wear the mask of the happy clown, but inside they're covering up deep sadness. Now, Sag rising will not be vulnerable. It will not be vulnerable. It has such a hard time with intimacy, and it will only be vulnerable when you invite them to be so. And even then, they will be nervous to do so. And so there is a transparency, but not into their wounds. They won't reveal them. And so sometimes it's very hard, very painful, and very seldom for Sagittarius rising to take off their mask. And if you can get a Sag rising to take off their mask and reveal to you their wounds, they love you. That's how you know a Sagittarius loves you. If you can get a Sagittarius to sit on the couch and tell you about what hurts inside their body or their heart or their mind, that is their expression of the deepest love they have. And they're never going to ask for help. They're never going to share their wounds. They're never going to tell you that they're hurting, because they are great pretenders. And what are they pretending? That all is okay and that they need nothing. Why? I don't really know. Other than it's just too painful to slow this train down to a full stop and talk about what's really happening inside their wounds. Much easier to keep the focus out there. You know, who needs a hero? Who needs a hero? Sag Rising here. That's how they feel. So they are the hero on everybody else's journey. And they are very rarely a victim, or will reveal that they've been victimized. Now, if you ask, they are truth tellers and they are truth seekers, and they value the truth so much, but they will be much better working on your problems than revealing their own. And I think this is the next gift you could give your Sag Rising. The gift of genuine, big authenticity. Like, I will share my wound with you. Will you share yours with me? And it is this gift of a true friendship and true love to be the one safe person for them to reveal their hurts to. So invite them to share with you in a way that's not a colorful story about, you know, when they ate frog legs in Paris, or, you know, when a little deeper story than when they kissed the love of their life on top of the Eiffel Tower, or if they are talking about that, make them go deeper in it. Like, what did you really feel? Get them into their deepest, authentic, intimate place in their essence, if you will, because they just don't do that very often. And that's their gold. That is their gold. So to be a true love in their life is to get them to take off their happy mask and pull up a vial of their truthful, authentic wisdom that they share with so few people. It's truly the art of intimacy. That's my Sagittarius Rising video. I hope you liked it. If you did, give me a thumbs up or leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. And if you don't know what your rising sign is, you can always write to me. And when I get 2 seconds out of my day, I will write you back and let you know. It's based on the time and the place, and of course the date. Take good care. Bye.